All right, so let's get into the actual conversation he had with Monique. So it went into a lot of her, beef that we already know she had with Oprah. Tyler Perry was another one that came out with what she said, and she had a recording.
She did, and she let Shannon listen to the recording beforehand.
His response hurt me. That really was that broke me when his initial response.
No, he has to do that on the cameras.
Why are you recording? That's my problem. Like, don't victim blame. Don't sit here and when she gives you information of somebody admitting a wrong to her, asking her why she recorded it. You know why? Because these people lie.
You don't think that Shannon, when she played it for him, like before, was like, this is crazy, fully on your side, gonna sensationalize this when the cameras come on. Be prepared for that.
I don't feel like that's sensationalizing it, though.
You can take it. You victim blaming on purpose?
No, I don't feel like it, because the way he responded it sounds too common of what I've heard from other men when women have gone to them in distress.
Now I'm on Shannon's side. Let me switch it up real quick.
That's
not my bag at all. That's
not your
my brand. No, that's not my brand.
I'm not gonna lie. It hurt me because and she said it to a point too where she was like, because she's a bigger woman and black, and she's not gonna let nobody just walk all over her for those things, it's gonna rub people the wrong way more often than not. And it just showed right there in that instance, like, that is exactly what she's gotten through the whole process is, well, why are you doing this to defend yourself instead of why are these people doing this to you when they shouldn't be?
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, that's messed up. Like, you don't want to see, like, and I've seen that before growing up. Like, I remember, like, there was a little girl when I was like 3rd grade, and she was a heavyset girl, and people were just so mean to her for no reason.
People just be mean to fat people.
Yeah, they were just like, no reason to be mean to her. And people would just like say she was all this nasty stuff and all that. And it was like, she was just nice. She would just smile and all this other stuff. And people were just so mean. It was crazy.
There are a lot of people I've seen, especially on TikTok, like girls who have gone through weight loss journeys who get skinny and then they realize that like people treat them different now. Like people treat them nicer. Like, and like they get sad. There was one I literally saw yesterday. She was like, I'm happy that I lost weight, but like I realized that people were treating me terribly because I was fat, and that sucks to realize.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, when you kind of just look back at it, like people are going to treat you differently. Just like, I know people said like when you wear your hair a certain way, like you can say you've experienced that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's awful.
Every black woman experiences that. When you wear a certain type of hair, you attract a certain type of man.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean it's tough to when you think about it in totality because you want to rationalize it, but at the same time, like you can only look at it through like the prejudice lens where that it comes from. People associate certain characteristics with lower tier, and that's why they project that on you.
Mm-hmm.
But it just like it came through even what she said with Taraji, and we spoke about with the Taraji thing going on and how people were more receptive to her and her tears because she came as weak rather than assertive, and also her aesthetically more appealing than Monique would be.
And
a lot of people didn't want to touch on that, but it was the truth. Like y'all were willing to talk about Taraji, because y'all like Taraji and Taraji fixed an aesthetic that you're more comfortable with in a victim standpoint, and Monique didn't do that.
Do you think that the general like consensus about Taraji was like people were more empathetic towards her than they were towards Monique?
100%.
You don't think it was like the same?
No, 100%. I think, of course, there are people like me who have the criticism overall just because I'm looking at it as a numbers thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have people who are just gonna be like, shut up and just take it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it wasn't like what happened with her, because remember she even talked about this. Charlamagne gave her donkey of the day. They didn't do that for Taraji.
No, they definitely didn't.
Like, so people were actively shitting her. I was critical of Monique during that time, but it was because of a specific reason. She was trying to get money for stand-up, and her biggest award was coming from the acting, Precious.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it just felt like you're asking for to be pushed into to be getting to this number that you want, when at least for the greater part of the last, that it was probably like a decade at that time, maybe half decade, you weren't in stand-up situations. People were not seeing you in stand-up situations at a regular basis.
And then, let me be messy, when you finally did do stand-up, it was terrible. It got like maybe one giggle out of me.
Yeah.
You motherfuckered us to death.
It
was crazy. I felt like I was listening to like a like 60s hood drive drug dealer. Like, why were you speaking that way?
It felt like somebody who doesn't go on like stage regularly.
Yeah.
And just thought, oh, the people gonna laugh at me because I'm Monique, rather than
That's
I
not
actually
the
got
case.
something witty and funny to say.
It was terrible. Like, all of the jokes were like not well thought out. Like, it was weak.
No, it wasn't. It was nowhere up to par to what she was comparing herself to. I mean, granted, Amy Schumer's wasn't that funny either, but
No, that didn't get a giggle out of me either. But
it wasn't like they were too far off from each other either. So my thing, I'm always gonna support with her, because at the end of the day, what she was talking about when it comes to that acting, yeah, she need to be treated a certain way when it comes to that.
yeah, and
Like,
Monique has had like stand-up specials that are hilarious. This last one, after all of her battles, just
and the difference in time too as well. Like, you
Yeah.
have to really, just to kind of get into the nerd stuff of comedy, like, you really have to go to the club like almost 2 or 3 nights out the, you know what I'm saying?
You have
a
to
week.
practice.
You have to hit the stage. So I don't know if she's doing that. I don't hear people saying that she's doing that. I never hear about Monique being at small places, even in, traveling. So if you're not a traveling comedian and you trying to get stand-up money, that's where I wasn't on her side on that part.
Mhm.
Everything else, when it came to Oprah, Tyler Perry, what's the other buddy name? Lee Daniels, I was all on her side for them. 100%, I'm on her side, because them folks was doing you wrong. They ain't trying to pay for no promotion, which, again, that's not out of the Hollywood thing. That happens in Hollywood. Folks don't be paying for promotion and all that other stuff. But, no, I mean, it is.
People don't want to pay for things.
No, it's for real. Like, usually when you go overseas and all that stuff, all they'll do is handle your accommodations and travel, but they won't actually pay you for your time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at her for saying, hey, that's not what you about to get out of me. I told him I was going to promote in the States. If y'all want me to promote somewhere else, pay me. Nobody wanted to do that. Cool. I'm not mad at her for any of that. If you going to do what's, like, again, if y'all ain't going out of y'all way for me, I'm not going out of the way for y'all. Business is business. Because like she said, like, once people feel like they can take an inch, they're going to try to take the whole mile.
Mm-hmm.
So the D.L. Hughley part I wanted to touch on too with her. Did you know about some of the stuff that she was saying with D.L. Hughley?
I didn't even know she mentioned D.L. Hughley.
She did mention it a little bit.
I didn't see any of those clips.
Yeah, so she did.
I didn't watch the whole.
I watched the whole thing. She did mention a little bit. She did talk about what had happened to one of his daughters, in which he had spoken on this too, where one of them was assaulted by somebody that he knew, and there was just a lot of funny business with that. I ain't gonna put nothing on his jacket in between it. She spoke to say like, hey, you sat there and let stuff happen to your family. That's the kind of dude you are. And then she also spoke to when she went on her show. He wasn't on the show, but I think her name is Jasmine. It's his co-host.
Mm-hmm.
She was on the show with her. They had a good time until they did a little game where she asked her, what would you rather? And she said, would you rather your husband sleep with Lee Daniels with a condom or sleep with Corinne Steffens without a condom? She took super offense to that, and then went out to DL. Didn't put it out, but basically said, this is how we do around here. He's responded to it, shitted on her husband. Sydney's been catching strays left and right.
Yeah, he has.
And again, this is what I say. It always goes back to what I say. I'm always right about these situations. Woman's success is just a measuring tape for your failure. And that's all everybody keeps doing. Calling this nigga a pimp. They say he using her. They say he taking advantage of her. She got to pay for it. That's what DL, he's all saying all of this. He's saying he got to pay for attention. You got to pay for your man. It's messed up.
That is messed up.
But DL, you messed up too, sir.
I didn't even see any of this.
She actually spared you because she didn't talk about the other thing, about how he had another child, and that child got killed by the girlfriend's boyfriend.
Wait, what?
So he had an affair on his wife.
Mm-hmm.
The woman gets pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
She then has a boyfriend that ends up killing the child.
What?
Yeah. And in his mind, he didn't even do nothing. This is what the story he accounted for. He didn't do anything about it. And he was essentially relieved that the child was no longer going to be a responsibility that he would have because of what happened. These are that y'all spoke to.
So a man is in jail and a child is dead, and you're relieved.
That's what he has said. He was relieved at the time.
That's messed up, DL Hughley.
So
You
DL
should
has
be
had
ashamed of yourself.
DL has had a track record of like
Being
questionable behavior.
That's ain't shit. If
I
you
do
said
feel as
you're
though
relieved the baby is dead.
I mean it is questionable. I mean
More than questionable.
I mean we just had the conversation about Ludacris last week, and when he wanted the baby after it got here, it was
how he stole the baby.
Yeah, so that's alleged, but that's not stealing because he went to court. But again, if he said he didn't want it and then she still had it, he clearly said he didn't want it, right? That's what y'all was saying.
Oh, he stole the baby.
But it is fucked up to say you was relieved. That was wild to say publicly.
The baby is dead, and you're saying you're relieved? That's crazy.
You could have been like, I was questioning. I had questionable feelings. Like,
yes.
You could have been like, you could have put some better salt. Conflicted is a good word. To say you was relieved was wild.
You can't straight up say you're relieved, even if you were. You cannot admit that, sir. You, willing to admit that, that's questionable character.